This is Brendan. Brendan has autism. And this is his dog, Blue. He's another story. Blue is also the color of autism awareness. This is a story about Brendan and Blue. Growing up, I always had a dog. When Brendan was born, we had a German Shepherd named Chewy, who was excellent with him. She seemingly instinctively took to him extremely well, even after growing up in a household when it was just myself, to my wife moving in, and then the birth of Brendan. Unfortunately, Chewy had passed away about a year before Brendan was diagnosed. There was a lot of brainstorming going on that resulted from hearing that Brendan was on the spectrum. One of my ideas was, how about a service dog? I chose the Labrador breed because I always observed them as the most popular for children with special needs. What I have failed to observe was I never saw a Chocolate Lab as a service dog in this category. We brought Blue home at about 12 weeks old, and he spent most of his younger puppyhood with the trainer learning early obedience. Since Brendan did have some upbringing with the dog around the house, he didn't have an issue accepting Blue. He was never spooked by him or was under the rule that Chewy was the only dog to ever be around, but he also didn't display the typical affection toward a cute puppy like most kids his age would. He has to be encouraged to be tactile with Blue, and even when he does pet him, it's sort of robotic. He does interact with Blue, but not in an affectionate manner. Brendan never responded to having a dog initiate interaction with him. Just the wetness of a dog's nose that touches his hand is enough to stir him away from reciprocating anything for the most part. However, after a little bit of coaxing him into playing Blue's favorite game of hold on to my toy while I thrash and pull it out of your hand, he has gotten into the game with him on his own a few times now, which is great to see happen.
What's your doggy's name? Blue. Hi, Blue.
Brendan still uses Blue as sort of a sensory being. He likes to lay on top of him or lay his cheek on his back. He can be a little rough with him at times, and Blue will sometimes nip at him to communicate he doesn't like that. I'm absolutely okay with allowing Brendan to experience negative consequences within means. Blue has never hurt him. He has grown to like having Blue around, and he really likes it when Blue sleeps in his room at night, which is a good sign of his social development. We've turned it into a privilege for him and use it as a reinforcement for preferred results in academics and good behavior. But going back on Blue's training as a service dog, it's an anticlimactic story in which I hope doesn't disappoint too many people. During his time period of training, he had a stubborn case of Giardia, and it just wouldn't go away. And the condition sort of overshadowed the priority of having him formally trained. I mentioned never seeing Chocolate Labs as service dogs for kids, and I remember hearing a trainer point out a characteristic of Chocolate Labs being the most rambunctious out of the lab colors. This I believe to be true. Long story short, the training just wasn't working out, and we accepted that Blue would be perfectly fine just as a family pet. I had envisioned that Blue was going to be Brendan's outlet in a more extreme circumstance. For example, he was going to help stop Brendan from self-harm. He was going to help Brendan cross streets safely. He was going to be an outlet for Brendan to retreat to when things got overwhelming. Well, the reality is, fortunately, Brendan is moderate on the spectrum and doesn't inflict self-harm. And though he can definitely use supervision when it comes to street safety, he's not in situations of everyday life requiring him to cross streets by himself. But Blue has become an outlet for Brendan in other ways. He is a retreat for him during times that we don't notice at Brendan's will, and he provides a constant social opportunity for Brendan to interact with. A note to myself would have been to allow my son's diagnosis to take shape, see what areas of development and challenges really could use secondary support. Otherwise, a pet to offer a child a chance for companionship and the development of social cues, it's been a great option for us. Knowing where the future took us, if I were to seriously consider a service dog for my child, I would probably consult with a professional service dog agency.